was a little bit leery of it to start with, because I wondered how in the world is she going to put this together. But knowing Debbie, I guess I did know she would find a way to do it, because she's very talented that way. And she's determined. When she sets her mind to something, she does it.
I'm Debbie Novell, and I'm a freelance writer and playwright. I particularly like writing plays.
Every hot summer Sunday afternoon in 1958, 59.
I wrote my first play when I was in 5th grade, and the same wonderful teacher actually let us perform it in the schoolroom, and I was hooked. I mean, that's just it.
It was in stark contrast to what I imagined the tables to be.
I actually wrote a story called The Lost Brother, a short story, for a writing class I was taking. And my professor shared it with everybody because she liked it so much. I thought, oh, I always wanted to put this into a book, the whole thing about my great-grandmother and grandmother and so forth. And it just never really started. Years and years went by and I had this short story. And God's truth, one day I woke up in the middle of the night, sat up in bed, and I said out loud, "It's a play." Oh, it's a play. It's not a short story. It's not a book, it's a play.
Mother, what are you trying to tell me?
And I wrote a play called A Common Thread, which is based upon my mother's family's history, going back, starting in about 1886. The play actually weaves scenes from the past, the 60s, and brings it up to today, to the present.
She was doing what she had to feed us.
The mystery that puzzled the family for so many years was the fact that my great-grandmother had given up 2 children, we thought for adoption, a son and a daughter. The daughter was my grandmother. And we never knew, first of all, what happened to her brother. And she always, to her deathbed, wanted to know what happened to her brother. She was only 18 months when she was placed in an orphanage, but he was 3. And we never knew why my great-grandmother, had placed the children for adoption. And there were a lot of whispers and things, and that's in this play. As a child, I would sneak under the table and listen, because I've always been like that, and I want to know the whole truth. And as soon as anybody saw me, they'd just hush up, and it's like, that made it even more intriguing, of course.
She said one of these days I'd be old enough to hear the real story.
Then really what happened was the fact that my great-grandmother was not married when she had these 2 children. And she was, the father was a married man, and he supported my great-grandmother and the 2 children.
Insisted that they take his name.
And we found out that he died of tuberculosis when the children were little, and she had no means of support. So she tried and tried, to work and keep them, but in fact she ended up becoming a prostitute. And that was the hush-hush part that people didn't want carried forward. So what happened is she put the children in an orphanage with the promise from the orphanage they wouldn't be adopted. Well, in fact, her son was adopted almost immediately. On her deathbed, she knew that there was a possibility, but literally on the day of her funeral, we found what had happened to him. My cast came from a big variety of sources. Some of the people were people that I know are in the theater world in Rochester and Austin and Spring Valley and surrounding areas. And then some were actually family members.
It should be a pretty good year.
Probably the most surreal part of seeing family members play family members was my daughter.
My name is Mariah Mim, and I played my great-great-grandmother Maria Matilda, my great-grandmother Marie Matilda, and I had a small role as my Aunt Judy, my mom's sister. It was extremely emotional to be able to play people so dear to my grandma. It wasn't until you get up on stage and the emotions come out, and there are times I could hardly get through my lines.
How can I ever thank you?
We performed the play opening in Austin at the Paramount Theater because most of my mother's family grew up around Austin and settled there. And my mother was in the audience every night. She's 85, and she came forward and took the thread because she's the matriarch. And I've got goosebumps talking about it. And there wasn't really a lot of dry eyes going around at that point. It was very touching.
It was a very, very meaningful and emotional time. The common thread told about the, what you might say, some skeletons in the closet. Even way back then, people were human, and they weren't all perfect.
And thank heavens we're open enough now to be able to say she did what she had to do, my great-grandmother did, and we're all here because of it. I mean, that's, you know, God bless her. And that she did reconnect with her daughter years later, and we could put those pieces together in the puzzle. We felt more complete too. It's like, finally, we understand what that common thread was.